going on, everyone? Today we'll be going through my semi-final AFL tips and predictions. We'll be first reviewing last week. It's an interesting round of footy for the qualifying finals. A few upsets, and the first game was probably the most crazy of the lot. So, as you can see right here, I did tip Port Adelaide once again. On the night, I'm like, shit, I forgot to tip. But technically, they gave me the tip right because you get the away team. Not in my comp, though. But obviously, Geelong won this game by 84 points. After the first, quarter and a bit, really, there was no contest. Especially after half-time. I think at one stage, Geelong kicked 16 of 18 goals. Or maybe 14 of 16 goals. They absolutely obliterated Port Adelaide. Their last four finals are the worst four finals in a row in terms of, percentage. I think it's 51%. The next game, we had the Bulldogs and Hawthorn. Now, I changed my tip from Hawthorn to Bulldogs. And really, after quarter time, like the other game, it was just domination. Hawthorn way too good. The way they just moved the footy forward, it's just so fun to watch. Up forward, they had Cole Shadia, Ginnivan, Nick Watson especially kicked the 4 goals. They're one of the more fun sides to watch at the moment, and they could do a Bulldogs 2016. They won that game by 37 points, and realistically, I didn't think they were going to lose that game after halftime. Now, the next game was Sydney v GWS. This is the game that probably saved the final series in a way, because all the other games were kind of rubbish. This was the best game of the lot, and it was the Swans that got up by 6 points after being down by 27 late in the third quarter. They were down by as much as 28 points, but it was Isaac Heaney really the guy that got them back into the game. Jake Lloyd as well was actually pretty good in this game, but it was the Swans that won by 6. Joel Amartey kicking the winner. And I predicted the Giants to win the flag as well. That's who I want them to win the flag, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult now, having to do it the hard way. The Swans, though, very good win. We head into the last game, which is Brisbane Carlton. There was no contest in this one. It was probably the worst game of the lot. I probably would say it was the worst game in the whole final series. It was funny seeing Carlton being down by 60 points, 60-0 almost at half time. That was a record for the longest time it's taken a team to score. At least Carlton made the margin a bit more respectable, but they should have lost that game by a lot more. So those are the tips for week 1 of the finals. Didn't do well, obviously, as you can see. I really should have got the 1. Now, taking a look at my tipping competition, we had a few people that actually used the Joker, which don't really know why they saved them to the finals, but regardless, it was Luke Ganoni, who technically scored the highest with a score of 6 and a margin of 74. The margins are definitely going to be high from the Port Adelaide v Geelong game. Auntie Booger also with a 6, Thomas Bailey, Macy Boy, and Brisbane Fan 101 to round out the top 5 for the round. But we take a look down, and it was Aussie Sport who actually got the best score, so he tipped a perfect and also a margin of 52. Pro Polar Bear as well with a margin of 60. Balin Wood, Granny Hag, and Riley Fieldhouse for the best scores for the elimination and qualifying finals. Now, this is quite interesting. The total score after a score of 4 on the weekend, Ivan Soldo moves into the first place right here with a 163 and a margin of 824. Pat Cross Dogs only got the 1, so from him being first last time, he's now second with a 163. Rort Wasp with 162 and third. Ash Go Boom, and also Matt 1985. So that is the top 5. With only 5 more games to go. Now let's take a look at the big calls for the last week. I'll still be doing them, but they're not going to mean anything for punishments. So whilst there probably will be a few people tipping down punishments down below, they're not going to mean shit. Now, last week I needed the 1 to avoid my final punishment of the week, so let's go through them. The first game was the Port Adelaide v Geelong one. I said Horn Francis would get 2 or more goals and 25 more disposals. He didn't really have much of the footy. He kicked a goal early on, but ultimately he didn't have that great of a game. But no one in Port Adelaide had a great game, and that was the first one I got wrong. Bulldogs Hawthorn, I said there'd be 9 or more lead changes throughout the game. However, ultimately after halftime, there weren't any lead changes. Hawthorn that dominated that second half, and I think there only ended up being 3 or 4, so that's once again a second one incorrect. Sydney v GWS, I said there'd be 3 or more GWS players to kick 3 or more goals, and I was sort of close. I had 2 plays in Cadman and Hogan, but I needed the 3rd, and that didn't happen. And then I relied on the Blues in the last game. I said that the Blues would be in front at any stage in the last 10 minutes of the game, but we all knew after quarter time or halftime that wasn't going to happen. So, yeah, that was a disappointing way to finish off the finals week 1 with no big calls correct. I already promised that I can't do something that I've already done, so I've already done a buzz cut for my punishment. So the next one is you have to stand outside the grand final having a sign saying Collingwood deserve to make finals whilst wearing a Carlton kit. Okay, well, once again, I'm not going to do that for the actual grand final because I already have plans during the grand final, but I can do that during grand final week. I'm not going to do it during the grand final, so I'm going to pick this one. The reason why I'm not doing that one is because the rules are you can't do multiple comments that I've already done. So I've already done the buzz cut one. I didn't even read that, but it's not going to be outside while the grand final is on, because I've got plans during the grand final. Remember, with the punishments, guys, if you're new, I've got a whole list that I still need to get done by October 31st. Otherwise, I'm doing a 100-hour live stream at some stage during the year. So, yeah, I've got to get them all done now, including that one. So, I'll need to find some Carlton gear at some stage during the finals. I'm going to look like a big fucking idiot, aren't I? Before we get into my tips, I'll quickly go through the best predictions from last week. So what I do is I get you guys to submit in a Google form, and you guys can pick your best tips and big calls for the finals. So we'll still do finals week 2. Let's show you which ones are the best for finals week 1. Before we get right into the 2 games for this final series, I just want to say as well, I did change my end of grand final goal from 40,000 to 42,000 subscribers because we hit 40,000 subscribers last week. So haven't really done any congratulations or anything official, but I want to say thank you for the 40,000 subscriber milestone. When we get to 50k, that's when something big will probably happen. But yeah, if you've been enjoying these videos, the footy tips and all the other footy content, and haven't yet hit subscribe, well, end of grand final goal is 42,000, so it'd be doing great favour if you guys can help out and hit that subscribe button. Alrighty, the first game we have on the Friday night, we have Port Adelaide taking on Hawthorn. Now, I'll be going to this game. I'm really excited. Never been to a final at the Adelaide Oval. If you look at the odds here, this is the first time I've probably seen in a final where the home team has been that much favoured against in terms of a finals game heading into it. Like, they're $2.35 to win the power. The Hawks are $1.60, yet Port Adelaide finished 2nd and the Hawks finished 7th. But that just goes to show form right now. And who's really going to be back in Port Adelaide after such an abysmal performance? Like, normally you do see people overrate the sides winning first week of finals compared to those that lost in the first week in the qualifyings. But this is different. There's a reason why so many people are back in Hawthorn. You know, only 27% are going Port Adelaide in this game. And why would you when, you know, we saw what they put up last week? At home, mind you, against the Cats. They lost by 85 points, whatever it was. And they just had no competitors. Like, they clearly did miss out on the likes of Houston and Farrell, but it wasn't just that. Butters obviously came off with an injury, but so many just lack of competitors, especially that second half. It was like you were watching, you know, first place take on 18th place. Like, honestly, it just didn't seem at all like a final, the way that there was no, you know, pressure. Port Adelaide fans were leaving the last quarter. It was as bad as it gets for Port fans. Like, it honestly couldn't have really gotten any worse for a first week of finals, and you don't often get it where people are wanting a coach out in the middle of a finals campaign. So Port Adelaide haven't got any fans right now at the moment. I don't know what we're going to expect from Port Adelaide. Charlie Dixon, surely he doesn't play after what he, you know, dished up on the final last week. He was absolutely pathetic. He didn't do anything. Radaglia as well, I thought, didn't do anything. A lot of the forwards up there. So you'd think you'd bring back Todd Marshall because he plays all right against Hawthorn as well. I thought there'd be a professional side heading into this finals campaign, but prove me wrong. Once again, choking finals. But yeah, at the moment, everyone's certainly on board Hawthorn. And why wouldn't you be? They're playing probably the most fun footy of any team right now. They just, seems like every player loves to be there right now because they get to express themselves. You see all the celebrations that the Hawthorn players make. Nick Watson and Cole Shadir, they combined for 7. You know, they both in their first season, let alone first final series. So, really good to see. I was obviously at the game. If you want to check out the video, I was sort of supporting Hawthorn, and it was good to see. Yeah, I probably wanted a bit of a closer game, but man, if Hawthorn just continue obliterating any side they come by against, like people are saying, oh, well, Hawthorn are only playing North and all that. I think Hawthorn are capable of probably going all the way because they're going to ride the wave of the momentum, the confidence. The players are confident. Jack Ginnivan even posted on Brodie Grundy's post saying, see you in 14 days. He doesn't reckon, you know, Port Adelaide stand a chance. So Hawthorn have got a couple of outs. I know Will Day and Mackenzie aren't going to be making it up for this one. And also no Sam Frost, which is a bit of a blow, to be honest with you, on their back six. He's been very underrated, and who are they going to have to replace him? But really, after last week, I don't think it matters too much, because what Port Adelaide forward line, what are they going to dish up? A lot of people are writing off Port Adelaide, so is Port Adelaide fans as well. Hawthorn, to me, just seemed like the more favoured tip. Like, I feel like right now on form, you probably do tip Hawthorn. And I am going to stick with my Hawthorn tip. You know, they're capable of pulling off a miracle against Hawthorn. We saw it earlier in the year where the Hawks, you know, choked a 41-point lead. But I'm going to just tip safe, I reckon, and I don't know if Port Adelaide are going to be good enough against a red-hot Hawthorn right now, and I'm going to say Hawthorn win this game by 22 points in the first semi-final and move on to a prelim with Sydney at the SCG. Port go at them straight sets with my big call, which won't matter for anything like the punishments or anything like that. My big call is that Jack Ginnivan and Nick Watson combined for 6 or more goals. Well, the final game, we got GWS and Brisbane. Obviously, the semi-finals, you only had the 2. This one, I think, is going to be bit more of an even matchup from what we've seen in the first week, to be honest. Both sides had their good moments. Both sides had their a little bit, you know, poorer moments. Certainly with the Giants, I thought they started terrifically against the Swans, and I thought they were going to be in sort of cruise control and win, again, quite comfortably. You know, they're up by 27 points late in the third quarter. Aaron Cadman, I thought he was quite good. Jesse Hogan was one of their best players, but do feel like a few of their star players just didn't step up, certainly not in the last quarter. If Toby Green just had a little bit more of an impact as a player like him, then I think they probably would have won. But the Swans just went on an absolute rampage. They went crazy in that last quarter, led by the likes of Papley, Braden Campbell, Jake Lloyd, obviously Isaac Heaney. They couldn't stop Heaney. If they stopped Heaney, they would have won that game. So Heaney basically won them that game. Disappointing because I wanted the Giants to win that game, but they're going to have to do it the hard way. I don't think they can. They're just going to apply what they did in the first 3 quarters for a little bit longer, and I think they can. Brisbane are another side that, they started well against Carlton. Like, geez, they look like one of the best sides in the comp. But Carlton did look really bad. Like, it was basically navy blue witches hats out there. Like, they applied absolutely no pressure at any stage of the game. It took them a record amount of time to get their first score in this millennium. Like, Sydney was the team that broke the record earlier this year against Port Adelaide. And then in a final for them to do that. Like, I had a feeling bringing all those players back at once just didn't, was never going to work out. I thought Doherty was okay. They had DeConing as a sub. I know we shouldn't be talking too much about Carlton, but damn, they were really bad. And the thing about Brisbane is, once again, they had many of opportunities to make them pay, which they didn't, especially in that 3rd quarter and early in that last. And I feel if they did that against some of the better sides, they're going to make them pay a lot more. But Brisbane, they ended up winning the game by 28 points. Carlton had a 6-goal last quarter. I'm a semi-concerned, but also I feel like it's a final and they don't want to do anything stupid for next week. They had the game sewn up when they're up by 60 points. They weren't going to worry too much about the margin. Yes, it's a little bit concerning. Apparently some of the Brisbane players weren't too happy after that game with the way they finished. They didn't want to risk, getting players injured because they don't have the break. So I don't think it's too much of an issue with this one for a final, but it was a little bit disappointing because it did have, countless of opportunities where they could have, converted, which they didn't. They should have won that game by 10 goals. The Giants are certainly the side I think are just a little bit better. They've been more consistent this year, I reckon. The Lions, though, they have won 9 of the last 11 games. I think a lot of people have taken that one a bit unnoticed. So they are capable, and the games that they have lost have all, both of those games run to 6 points. And I just think that the way they played against Sydney for the first 3 quarters was a little bit more compelling than the Brisbane game because it was against an opponent in Carlton. I know Brisbane might have a better list on paper, the likes of Lachie Neale in the midfield, up 4, it's very dangerous, and their defence was very underrated against Carlton last week as well. The Giants aren't that sort of side to go in straight sets either. They're a side that seem to always find the difficult way in terms of winning finals and all that. So yes, I think the Lions have I think this is going to be the best of the 2 games, to be honest, because the 2 sides match up quite well. And this strikes me as quite similar to the 2019 prelim, which was a close one. And also early this season, the Giants pinched a close one at the Gabba as well. Can the Giants pinch another close one here? It is at NG Stadium, so they do have the home crowd advantage. I am going to say the Giants get up in this game in a good one. I think we are going to get at least one good semi-final here, and it should probably be this one. With the way I see it, I think the Giants win this game by 8 points. With a big call that Brisbane lead for longer, but lose the game. A short one here with the semi-finals tips. Obviously, that's going to be the case for the finals predictions. We'll go through real quickly. So I went Hawthorn in this one. I think they're going to be too strong. I think they're just way too dominant right now, the way they've been playing. Win that by 22. And I think in a good one, GWS win by 8 points. I'll hopefully get to stream that game, but I'm still not 100% sure. So those are my semi-finals tips and predictions. Leave yours down below for the 2 games. I will be going to Port Adelaide via Hawthorn. Subscribe and like, and we'll see you soon.